You think you're behind. You think you've wasted time. You think everyone else has it figured out. What if I told you that it's all in your head? You look at where you are, and then you look at where you thought you'd be by now. And there's a gap. Maybe you thought you'd have the career figured out by now, or the relationship, or the business, or the financial stability, or just a clearer sense of direction. But you don't. And it seems that everyone around you appears to be further along. They're hitting milestones, they're moving forward, they're figuring it out. And you are still here, trying to get started, trying to get unstuck, trying to figure out your next move. So you think, I'm behind, I've wasted time, it's too late for me to catch up. What's the use? And that thought is exhausting and discouraging and oftentimes paralyzing. But here's the truth: you're not behind. You're just measuring yourself against a timeline that doesn't exist. So let's talk about why you feel behind in life and why that feeling is actually lying to you. So, first, let's talk about where this feeling comes from, right? You have a picture in your head of where you should be by a certain age. By 25, you should have your career figured out. By 30, you should be settled down. By 35, you should have it all together. By 40, you should be successful. But where did that picture come from? Did you choose it? Did you sit down one day and decide, this is the timeline I want for my life? Probably not. You absorbed it from your parents, from your culture, from your social media, from watching other people hit milestones and assuming that's the standard. And now you're measuring your life against a standard that you never chose and feeling like a failure because you don't match it. But that standard isn't real. It's not a universal truth, it's just a story that someone else wrote, and you've been living it without questioning anything. So, why do you feel behind? Well, the first reason is because you're comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel. You see people your age who seem to have it all figured out. They have the career, they have the relationship, the house, the lifestyle, and you compare that to where you are. But you're not seeing the full picture. You're seeing the curated version, the version they want you to see. You're not seeing the debt behind the house, the unhappiness behind the relationship, the anxiety behind the career, the doubt behind the confidence. You're comparing your entire experience, including the mess, the uncertainty, the struggle, to their highlight reel. And that's not a fair comparison because everyone is struggling with something. Everyone has gaps between where they are and where they want to be. Everyone feels behind in some area of their life. You're just not seeing it because they are not showing it. And the second reason is because you've bought into the idea that there's a right timeline for your life. Graduate at 22, get a job by 23, get married at 28, buy a house by 30, have kids at 32, retire at 65. That's the script. And if you're not following it, you feel like you're doing it wrong. But that script isn't universal. It doesn't apply to everyone. It doesn't account for different paths, different circumstances, different definitions of success. And the people who seem to be, quote, on track aren't necessarily happier. They're just following the script. And following the script doesn't guarantee fulfillment, it just guarantees conformity. You're not behind, you're just on a different path. And different doesn't mean wrong. The third reason is because you're focused on what you haven't done instead of what you've built. You look at the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and all you see is the distance. But you're not looking at how far you've already come. You're not seeing the things you've learned, the challenges you've overcome, the growth you've experienced. You're measuring yourself against an imaginary destination and ignoring the journey you've already been on. But here's the truth: every experience you've had, every mistake you've made, every path that you've taken, even the wrong ones, has shaped you into who you are right now. And who you are right now is not behind. You're exactly where your choices have brought you. And from here, you can make different choices. The fourth reason is because you're treating time as the enemy instead of the resource. You think you've wasted time. You think the years you spent going in the wrong direction were lost. You think starting over, starting late, means you're already at a disadvantage. But time isn't something you waste, it's something you use, something you invest. And every year you've lived has given you something: experience, perspective, clarity about what you don't want. And that's valuable, more valuable than you might think. The person who starts at 35 with 15 years of life experience isn't behind the person who started at 22 with no experience. They're different. And in many ways, the older person who starts is the stronger one because you know more now. You've learned from your mistakes. You have a clearer sense of who you are and what you actually want. That's not a disadvantage. That's a head start disguised as a setback. So, how do you stop feeling behind? Well, the first thing you need to do is question the timeline you're measuring yourself against. Where did this come from? Did you choose it? Or did it was it absorbed from someone else? And does it actually reflect what you really want? Or are you just following a script that was handed to you at some point? Because if the timeline isn't yours, you can let it go. You can write a different script altogether, one that actually fits the life you want to live. Not the life your parents expected, not the life your culture prescribed, not the life you think you should want, the life you actually want. And that timeline might look completely different, and that's okay. The second thing you need to do is stop comparing your path to everyone else's. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their milestones are not yours. Their definition of success isn't your definition of success. So stop measuring yourself against them. Stop using their life as the benchmark for yours. Instead, ask yourself, am I moving in the direction that I want to go? Am I making progress on the things that matter to me? Am I becoming the person I want to be? Those are the only questions that matter, not whether you're keeping up with someone else. That's not the point. Right? So the third thing you need to do is acknowledge how far you've already come. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're not the same person you were last year. You've grown, you've learned, you've changed, and that matters, even if it doesn't feel like enough. So stop looking at the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and look back at the gap between where you are and where you were, because that gap is evidence of progress. And progress, even slow progress, is not being behind. And the fourth thing you need to do is start from where you are, not from where you wish you were, not from where you think you should be, from exactly where you are right now. Because that's the only place you can start from. The past is done, you can't go back and change it. You can only decide what to do next moving forward. And the best time to start is now. Not when you feel ready, not when you finally caught up, not when the timing is perfect. Right now, from here, with what you have. Because a year from now, you'll either be further along than you are today, or you'll be in the same place, still feeling behind, still waiting for the right moment to start. And the only difference between those two outcomes is what you decide to do right now. So here's what I want you to think about. What timeline are you measuring yourself against? And did you choose it? Or did someone else hand it to you? Because if it's not yours, you don't have to live by it. You're not behind, you're just on your own path. And your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. So stop measuring yourself against a timeline that was never meant for you, and start moving forward from exactly where you are. Because the truth is, you're not behind. You're just overthinking it. If you are an overthinker and you want support on your journey as you work through what's keeping you stuck, you can explore the options to work with me by going to natehooks.com. The link is in the description below. And until next time, remember, you're not You're just measuring yourself against a timeline that was never yours to begin with.